Hello, trading has closed on May 5th, 2022. We always start with our disclaimer. This is my trading plan for tomorrow, Friday, May 6th. Please, these are pretty treacherous markets. There are large moves. I tried as hard as I can to make the right call. It's inevitable. Sometimes I'm going to be wrong. There will come a time when I'm very, very wrong. So any trades you make should be at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tomorrow should also have the early high. Pattern's usually positive, but when it's negative, it drops in a straight line, which is this. When it's negative like this, usually you'll see prices trade under today's close unless we gap up, promptly overtake today's high, which is a tall order, but nothing's impossible in a market like this. That doesn't mean you have to close lower. We said this pattern here was a cup with upsloping handle, so there was an unstable pattern, and that if we kept down, the target was to undercut this low. I said it seemed pretty far off, but it didn't take long to do it. I said if we did go down, it could be a pretty steep drop, but regardless of what happened, I thought we were going to recover and make a low at and make a higher high at some time. That's what we said, that sentiment indicators are only seen at major lows. Even if we drop sharply, there should be a rally at some point here. We shouldn't have to wait too long. But we said if we dropped, I said someplace here, if we dropped, it would be pretty steep. Here, a drop here could be severe. We said that. Well, these are my patterns for next week. Let's go over the MEJT stuff. Had an ultimate buy signal here. The target's 42.1350. We normally get more than that. Doesn't have to print tomorrow, but doesn't have to print anytime soon at all. But normally you don't have to wait too long. The afternoon pattern, MEJT says won't stick. 41.7118 is the target. If we don't gap down smartly, that's my call for tomorrow. In spite of today's steep drop, we're still only one bar under this line. That still demarks support area. Support can break, and you could have 100 points under this and it still wouldn't change anything. Just realize you're in support. Well, this is what I've been waiting for a long time. That's a big volume spike. We had the biggest volume of the whole drop. That's often a sign that you're at the low or pretty close to the low. We also had the biggest point move, the highest average true range of this whole decline, and the high percentage of the time, the biggest average true range in terms of points comes on the day of the low. This isn't the day of the low, it's a retest of this low, but still, these are two things which can occur on the day of the low, or at least pretty close to it. Doesn't mean they work every time. Well, we did stop right at this line, but we still haven't undercut this low. So for now, at least, we're still consolidating in the range. That could change as early as tomorrow. Well, here's how I'm counting this. We had the ABC up. I really don't have a count. It counts this drop as complete, so we could see lower prices, but at this point in the pattern, I can't really count it. I can count this as an ABC, but it doesn't break any rules. I'm not too impressed with it. But we did drop all day long, and we closed over all these lows. And unless we undercut these lows promptly tomorrow, it should lead to higher prices. And unless we get down smartly, I'm going to look for 41.70, 118. And even though we don't have to see 42.1350, it's not out of reach, even though it's 100 handles higher. Signals are mixed, so we'll have to use our mixed signals rule. Friday's pattern has the early high we could gap down. The non-farm payrolls report comes out tomorrow. This can influence the market in ways my indicators cannot predict with accuracy. Anybody trading on today's analysis should bear that in mind. Signals are mixed. It's negative. Today's normally bullish pattern was negative. This should lead to lower prices tomorrow, but not necessarily a lower close. Gapping and overtaking the high day with little interruption would kill the pattern. It's positive we had the largest point move of the decline. This often comes in the final day. We had an E-mini volume spike, which is associated with lows. The strong drop today couldn't manage a close under intraday lows. VIX gave a Bollinger Band reversal buy signal. It's a higher MEJT target. Unless we gap down smartly, it's favored to print. It's a higher ultimate buy signal. We usually don't have to wait long to see it. That's usually. But gapping and promptly undercutting the low of day would kill the pattern. The wall with gap pattern should fill the gap and overtake the high of the wall. Usually this happens by Monday's open. If not, then that need not happen soon. Regardless of what happens tomorrow in terms of price, we should be near a low in terms of time. Sentiment readings are at extremes seen only at market lows. Here was your wall. Here was your gap. Typically within a day or a little over a day, you fill the gap, trade over this high, then find resistance. Now, if it doesn't happen by early Monday, it just doesn't have to happen anytime soon. It just happens a high percentage of the time. And after a drop like this, it seems kind of inconceivable. You're going to see these higher targets. Maybe you won't. If we gap down smartly tomorrow, we could drop 200 points, have bigger volume than we had today, bigger range than we had today, have a complete crash that other people are calling for. It wouldn't really change anything. Most of the time, though, these numbers will print. Most of the time, this will fill, and most of the time, most of the time, you can't hold on to these lows. And sentiment is so overwhelmingly negative, you're not going to crash. Most of the time, you're going to recover from this. But it certainly isn't a lock. I don't know how we're going to respond to the non-farm payrolls report tomorrow, but regardless of what happens tomorrow, in terms of time, I think we're pretty close to a bottom here. Doesn't mean it has to be in terms of price, but we'll see. And that's today's call.